Hey everyone, welcome to this French Tech Connect. Very happy to have you here with us today. So I'm just going to start very briefly to introduce the session, who we are at French Tech Seoul, and a bit how the platform works so that you can interact with us more easily during the session. So I'm Isabelle, the Vice President of French Tech Seoul. French Tech Seoul is a community of people interested in innovation and the startup scene between France and Korea. We exist since 2016, and we have a new community and board since 2019 here in Korea. So we have a pretty long presence. And basically what we do is just give opportunities for anyone interested in that space to get more connection and network here in Korea, but also in France. So that's a very quick introduction. I'm going to stay at the end of the session during the networking, so don't hesitate to come see me or any of the French Tech board member who is currently here connected in the session, including Tristan. So how the session is going to go today, in a short minute, I'm going to pass the mic to Tristan and then to all of our amazing speakers. And then at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session. So during the whole time, don't hesitate to send us your question, either directly in the chat or in the Q&A session. And after the session, you're going to have the opportunity to stay if you want for a bit of networking online. So feel free to stay after the session to go talk to our speakers or anyone in the community. So just to explain to you very briefly how the platform works. If you go down your screen, you're going to have the opportunity to send us a bit of love during the whole session, so don't hesitate. You're going to have the chat where you can also send us messages, and you all have the Q&A session, the Q&A kind of section also. And if you want to network between yourself slightly, you can go on people at the top of your screen, and you're going to see who is on the session and are even going to be able to message them directly if you want, if you find someone that you would really love to talk to. So yeah, that's just how it is. So just to kind of ice break a bit and make sure that everyone knows how the chat works, I'm going to ask everyone to share in the chat where you are connecting from. Are you in Seoul? Are you in another part of Korea? Are you in France? Are you in, I don't know, Singapore? Or any place. So where are you connecting to? So for myself, I'm in Seoul, and I'm waiting for everyone to share where they are. And while we discover where everyone is from, I'm just going to pass directly the mic to Tristan, and that's up to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, so thank you, Isabelle, for this very clear introduction. So I'm very happy today to be the chairman of this session on Foodtech. So I will present myself and again try to moderate as better as I can, especially taking into account your questions. We have already a quite full audience of nearly 20 people. Some will join later, I guess, and with a diverse background, so from investors to scientists to students, and also yes, different type of origin. So it's very interesting. So myself, so I'm Tristan Rousselle. I am the founder and deputy CEO of Arrival. I have a 20+ year background as an entrepreneur. So my previous company was a biotechnology company. But I'm a scientist by training, and so I'm very happy to have Eric, Florian, and Alvyn participating today, and I will give them the mic so that they can do also a brief introduction. Alvyn?
Thank you, Tristan, and hello everyone. My name is Alvyn. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the company Algama. Well, this is a company I started about 8 years ago right now, and at Algama we create innovation from algae. And
thank you. Eric?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's very nice to meet you all. I'm very honored to be here. So I'm Eric from Aribal. We are a digital fashion company headquartered in Grenoble, France. And I'm currently supporting our Asian customers from our Asia office located in Seoul, Korea, as a application engineer / office manager. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric. And Florian?
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Florian. I'm currently based in South Korea, where I'm working for CheilJedang, which is the leading food company in South Korea. So in this company, I'm leading our innovation acceleration organization, which is an organization that operates in close contact with many startups and following the open innovation model. I joined the company early this year in January after 15 years spent with Nestle, mostly in Switzerland and Singapore in different R&D positions.
Thank you, Florian. Okay, so if everybody is ready, I think we will start directly with Alvyn's presentation.
okay, so I'll start sharing my screen, just a tiny second.
Perfect. Okay, so
well, I'm very happy to be here to introduce Algama to give my view on the Foodtech today. As I said at Algama, we work on microalgae. I'll come back to that, just very, very briefly, because I'm pretty sure that people are very well aware of that. But there's a global context, of course, that is motivating the what we can call the rise of the food tech and agri-tech today, and pretty much we can say that the food industry is pretty messed up. We think that it's very good that this type of event exists today, and this one, but also many, because when we started 8 years ago, actually we started 10 years ago to work on the project. The company is 8 years old, and it was very hard to explain to anyone, well, this is important to do this type of thing because things are changing, because the consumers don't know very well what they should eat, what they are putting into their body, which is important, and also we are being pretty harmful for the planet. Today, it's like everyone knows it's a good thing. It's much easier, but it's also good to say that this is pretty much the beginning, a beginning that is starting big, because we're talking about a massive industry. Of course, everyone in the planet needs to eat, and the timing is definitely good today to invest in this category to move the needle. So a little bit about Algama. We are a platform that is main purpose is to mainstream the use of algae for the food industry. So algae have been seen for many things, many purposes, such as biofuels, cosmetics, food and feed, also biomaterials. It's a lot of things that we can imagine with algae. Algama decided to be dedicated into human food today with a platform that we developed across several technologies that we've been working on since the very beginning. Technologies that have been converted into 25 patents today that we have across 31 countries, and a team that is mostly focused on R&D, because of course we are doing things that don't exist yet. That what we're doing do exist right now, but didn't exist before. So we had to develop the whole thing, and the company is being developed from Paris. This is the headquarters, and we have several offices in France, south of France, and on the Paris region, and also in New York City. So I'm going to introduce a little bit what we do around the algae technology, the algae ingredient, the products, and what it means to us. Maybe starting with the algae, themselves. It's the reason why we're working on that is because I was just taking spirulina, which is a microalgae that is well known as a food supplement, and taking it with my co-founder, we had the idea of trying to push it to the next level. Why is it only a food supplement? Why couldn't we use it for more? Because Spirulina, like a lot of other microalgae, will have a very high content in protein, up to 70%. That's very unique. There's a perfect balance of amino acids. We have also the fatty acids that we would be looking for example, the omega-3s that people are craving for. Well, it's coming from the algae. We can take omega-3 from fish, but actually the fish themselves, they're getting it from algae. So we have a very interesting source that is at the origin of every single plant on Earth, that is much more diverse than every plant on Earth, and that also very clean and sustainable, but it's very hard to use. So that was the whole purpose. We wanted to understand how we could push the algae further, how we could take what's not working into the algae. And I can tell you a few things. First of all, there's the taste. It's not great. There's not a great taste with algae, and you can imagine a fishy taste. And this is something that you don't want to have in your daily food. It's also the fact that it's very green. Everything you will use with algae will become green pretty much. So when we're talking about taste, color, the texture, the smell, we're talking about all the organoleptic that are making the experience of food better or worse. And algae was making it worse in terms of experience. Very good nutritionally, but the experience was not so good. So we took that. We took also the fact that it's pretty unstable as an organism, because never ever anybody tried to stabilize that and put some work to stabilize it into actual food products. So that's the reason why we decided to do something a bit different. So what I'm explaining here on algae can be applied to other things as well, because on algae, there's a lot of people all around the world that decided to produce the algae. I said that before. There are the food supplements that have been produced for a long time, but also many other purposes of use of the algae. Right now, what we saw is that on the left side you have the supply. There's a lot of people that can supply the algae. On the right side, you have the food companies. You have the ingredient companies that want to use better products because they understood that things need to change. Nevertheless, when you try to take the biomass directly to these companies, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's just like you would take, let's say, some wheat beans directly that you grew, and you try to sell that to Nestle or to CJ, for example. What would they do with that? You need someone in the middle to transform that into flour, so you can use the wheat flour much easier. So that's the position we decided to take at Algama, because we saw that nobody was doing that in the world, and that it was very important to be working on the downstream process and the formulation of proper ingredients. So this is the platform we developed across these different focuses, and we created process, very, very clean process, of course, that are only mechanical, without any solvent, without any chemical. So we can make things very easily, but also very efficiently in terms of cost, because you're not going to pay a lot of money for your food. And this is very important, that we can address as many people as possible. So this is where we developed the whole company Algama, to be able to provide actual ingredients across several categories. You have some examples here. All the pictures that you will see on my presentation are actually pictures from Algama. These products have been made with our ingredients. As you can see, well, no green products whatsoever, and these products will look like the original products, and we can address several ingredients into these categories, such as egg alternative, dairy, seafood, meat alternative, many things that we can do with algae. One very important point right here is that we are not trying to do everything that you can do in the plant-based area. It's true that when you look at the categories, you can say, well, we're covering all the scope. That seems like a lot. Actually, it is, but not so much, because Algama did choose to have a great focus on what algae can do better. And that's very important, because sometimes you're trying to replace something that is better, that is already good. And it doesn't make sense to us. So we're trying to take algae to create a very easy to use ingredients that will be not only easy, but also very efficient. So I'll give an example right there with Tamalga, which is a range of egg replacers. So right there, we are replacing eggs. And the reason why we do that is not because of the nutrition or the fact that eggs is a very big market. Of course, that was a motivation, and I can explain that after. But the main thing is that eggs are one of the most technical functional protein in the world. It's in pretty much everything, but it also has a lot of issues. So when we look at the functionality of the product, we can go back into the algae to look at the protein that are bringing this type of functionality that will bring texture, that will bring for example, in the case of mayonnaise, the emulsion, or or the texture, the aerated structure into a brioche or whatever. All these texturing properties that the eggs will have, this is what we are bringing with the algae protein and lipids. And then we can have a very interesting approach, because right there, we're not trying to replace the whole egg. We're not trying to do a fake egg right there, but we are targeting very specific functionalities that we can, well, of course, give very easily. Right before you had on this slide a powder. It's very interesting to see that, well, people would be looking for powdered eggs, but when you take egg as a powder, it's already less functional than a real egg. But our powder will be more functional than powdered eggs. But also it comes with all the advantage of not being a food allergen, not having any disease issues, and we don't have the type of price volatility that you will see with the eggs that is, well, moving a lot. And this with many other issues, the fact that most companies in the world decided to go out of battery cage. This is a big challenge, and is 2 to 4 times more expensive than a battery cage to make a cage free. So when you take all this together, you see that we can bring a very interesting advantage, because since we're focused, we have the ability to be at price parity, which is a very interesting thing and very important when we're talking about alternatives. Alternatives tends to be very expensive, and we manage to be at cost. So we developed many products, more than 200 products actually, across many categories, using this very same approach. And today, well, Algama is actually growing pretty fast. I said that we are 20, but we are hiring a lot of people right now. And we're working across so many categories. You can have some pictures. We have the colorant, we have the seafood right there, we have chocolate, we have dairy, many things that are already developed. Some of them on the markets, some others are going to be launched in 2022. So I think I'm on time, and I hope I'm on time. And this is it for my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Alvyn. Yeah, it was very clear and straightforward. Thanks. Again, we'll keep the questions for after, and maybe also organize some kind of discussions, all of us together with the participants, right? So now I will hand over the mic to Eric.
Okay. Let me quickly share my screen. There. Can you see my screen? Yeah?
Yeah, all good.
Okay.
Yes, it's fine. Thank you.
All right. Well, okay. Thank you, Tristan. Thank you, Alvyn, for sharing. It's really amazing. I think I really love to try some Algama products in the near future. So today, Aribal is our specialty is digital infection. So tonight I'll share some information about digital infection in the F&B industry. There you go. So anything you consume has some type of flavor, right? And it could be bad or good. And since you consume through your mouth, it's easy to think that your taste buds on your tongue is the main actor in understanding the flavor. But however, the taste buds can only perceive 5 stimuli. As you know, salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and umami. But there is more to that in flavor. And aroma is actually as important as taste, if not more, to define flavor. And each aroma molecule activates a specific receptors on the particular membrane cell in your nose. And this sets off a sequence of events to send aromatic information to your brain. And with this information alongside with the taste, taste information, our brain can fully understand the flavor. And we recognize about 10,000 different aromas, and since the receptor-bearing cells send projections directly to your olfactory bulb, we can immediately sense the odor. And that's why it is next to impossible to separate the taste from odor in food. And if you like to try a simple experiment at home, just grab an onion, plug your nose, take a bite out of it. It probably feels like just eating an apple at first. And if you unplug your nose, then you'll really feel that heat from the onion, right? So, but please do it at your own risk. So maybe not onion, just try something more friendly, a strawberry or something. And but what I'm saying is that you'll see that it won't taste the same without aroma. And this intricate association between aroma and flavor demands rigorous sensory analysis in order to determine what products will be acceptable to the consumers. So this sensory analysis is a critical step in innovation to give consumers what they want. So speaking of sensory panels, these the sensory evaluations are performed when introducing a new product to the market, or also when deciding how to alter a product, and also when deciding how to market a product. So they can be useful and are not only used for final products, but also for raw ingredients. And there are 3 types of tests. So one is discrimination. So seeing the differences of the samples. Number 2 is descriptive. So describing what it smells like, tastes like. And third is effective. Is it good or bad? And also the process of selecting a panel is also very important, as a low quality panel can affect the quality of data, right? So at the end of the day, everyone smells different, or each of our noses are different, and these sensory panel results are subjective, right? So today, many F&B companies are looking for a way to generate more objective data, smell data, and using an electric nose, and which is what we have developed. So how does our solution smell anything? So here you have a target food that you want to measure, and our solution is based on biosensors, which interact with the odor molecules from the food that you want to detect or measure, and which then generates a different signature for each smell. So as you see on the bottom here, we have milk, chicken, a beverage, and fish, and they each have a different signature. And this is our latest odor detection device called Nails Advance, which is portable and also can detect an odor within a few seconds. It's very, very quick. And it is designed so that it can, I wouldn't say completely replace, but complement the sensory panel data in various industries, including F&B. So how can we benefit the F&B industry? First, we can reduce cost of quality by enabling objective odor standardization for fully manufactured products, and also by ensuring the odor defects are not transferred from packaging materials to products, and also by controlling olfaction quality for more consistent consumer experiences. And second, we can ensure raw material quality by ensuring the consistency of raw materials during delivery and providing objective olfaction data comparison between shipment and suppliers, and also by detecting fake or counterfeit materials and products. And third, we can help in new product development by reducing development time, by using olfaction data to characterize the new formulations or methods, and tracking flavor transformation instantaneously with portable devices, and also by providing objective data outside of traditional smell panels. And lastly, we can also assist in cooking by monitoring the evolution of smell during cooking. So this is a demo that we did at CES 2019, where we showcased cooking automation. So we connected our sensor to an oven, which we used to bake cookies. And our sensor was able to detect the smell of perfectly cooked cookies and then send a signal to the oven to turn off. So, and this is just one example. There are numerous use cases where our solution can be applied to, as you imagine. And after you have your smell data, you may ask, how do we present the order information? So today, there is no smell printer. There's no such thing as smell printer where there's no technology to reproduce the same smell yet. So we can use some visual representation of order using some easily understandable icons, as you see here on the right. And these can be used for curation of products by categorizing the products by smell so that you can also search them by smell. They can also be useful to describe the unfamiliar products like foreign food or fusion dishes. So here, for example, kimchi escargot pizza. I honestly don't know what it will taste like, and I'm sure nobody here probably knows what it tastes like. So we have no idea what it will taste like, right? So, but if it was presented with some of these order icons, then we can at least guess what it could be like. And moreover, the intensity and stickiness of order can be also visually presented. So certain food has some seafood or samgyeopsal, like Korean pork belly, for example. If you come back from a restaurant, the smell really sticks in your clothes for a few days. So that's the stickiness of order. And some of the dishes have a big variation of smell intensity, even though it's the same dish. So like cheonggukjang, like the Korean bean paste soup, or curry, like cheonggukjang, for example. Like my grandma's cheonggukjang is so strong. It's so strong that you can smell from miles away. But some of the cheonggukjangs they sell at the restaurants, they're not as strong, right? So that's the intensity. It's the same food, but the intensity is different. Here, I have an example of what it could look like on an online store, right? So I used the CJ, the market, as an example. So here, without even reading the name of the product or the description of the product, by just looking at the icons on the left, you see the onion, the meat, and the herb. You could kind of guess what it would taste like, what it would smell like, right? So, and then here also on the bottom, there's the intensity and the stickiness of the product, of the smell of the product. And here in the search engine or the search page, here you can search for a product by smell. So say you want some kind of sauce that is smoky and lemony, right? But you don't know exactly which sauce will satisfy your needs. So then you come here, then you can search by smell icons, and this will give you a list of products that are tagged with such order icons. And lastly here, so I showed you earlier that we can generate specific signatures for each smell. But further on, we can also generate a chart to easily compare those different signatures. So this chart clusters the same or similar products together. So such data analytical tool like this can be used to study the flavor of products, and furthermore, we could relate the signatures to pattern of sales. So here, maybe we can perhaps say that bestseller. So this is a bestseller signature, and this is a cluster that the signature is part of. Then maybe we can aim to develop products that fall into this cluster. And thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks a lot. So yeah, I guess we'll discuss with you on those different subjects afterwards.
Okay.
Thank you. So now our last and keynote speaker, actually, who will have a little bit more time, up to 20 minutes, is Florian. Are you ready, Florian?
Yeah, I'm ready. Is it okay if I close my camera, because my network seems to be a bit
yes, sure.
Not so good, so I'll try to minimize a bit here. Okay.
No problem.
How does it work? Yeah. Okay. Let me. No. Sorry.
So we do not see your slide yet.
Yeah, coming. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Should be loading now.
Okay. It's coming. Yes. Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not starting with this one. I'll start here. So introduction I done just before. So you have the title of what I intend to share. So basically my intent here is to give you a short food industry perspective on this necessary shift to healthy and sustainable food consumption patterns that Alvyn was speaking about before, and to illustrate a bit how food science and open innovation can play a key role in this journey. Yeah, so actually on these slides, you have an overview of the journey that the food industry has followed since several decades now to move its focus from the development of tasty and essentially caloric foods to propositions that are not only tasty, but also nutritious and sustainable. And actually, for many decades, the food industry has been focused and really organized towards mass production and supply of safe, tasty, and nutritious foods to people at a time where the access to food was often scarce for many. But of course, the world has changed, and in today's globalized world, the resources are increasingly constrained, the population further grow, and dietary-related diseases become more and more prevalent. So people's expectations also for foods have also really massively changed. Consumers across the world seek food and beverage that meet all their needs. They not only desire foods that are safe and taste great, but they also want foods that are healthy and nutritious with ingredients that they recognize and more customized to their specific nutritional needs. On top of that, people also have increasingly praise foods from trusted local sources and from companies that carry social values and clear engagement towards sustainable solutions. So that's really the days of the consumers who want it all, and there is not that much negotiation in what consumers want. But obviously, this paradigm shift places the food companies today under really an incredible tension and faced with the obligation to radically and urgently adapt a food system organization that has become unsustainable, unequal, destabilizing for the planet, and also unadapted to people's needs today. So in this sense, I really embrace what Alvyn is trying to do with Algama, like many other startup and companies really playing in this field these days. So, and just to give you a bit of an holistic view of what food science and technology, what the role that food and science and technology plays here in this paradigm shift. Science here is essentially an engine for the food industry to adapt its offering from tasty foods to sustainable nutrition. And if we look from an holistic perspective, for those of you who are not familiar with this field, food science and technology allows to, on one side, understand really the consumer perception of food be it from a consumer and sensory science standpoint or from the understanding of key molecules in foods that are responsible for the aroma and taste of foods, as Eric was just describing, but also the interaction of this molecule with sensory biological receptors. And then the stretch of the science here goes to the development of new food processing methods that are more efficient, that are enabling less or no waste, but are enabling new food properties, for example. And finally, that goes to the understanding of the nutrition and health impact of food products in people eventually. So these different elements are really intertwined and are improved iteratively. And food companies nowadays, I guess, rely more and more systematically on collaborative approach to accelerate those iterations and move from this or to follow this paradigm shift I was mentioning, moving to more sustainable and nutritious foods. So one example, I think, of the importance of collaborative approach to accelerate innovations, or it's rather more an example of how innovation can be hampered by the lack of collaboration. So this example is related to also an important topic for food and beverage, topic of sugar reduction. So that's a key direction for better nutrition, but has received and continue to receive much attention and resources in the food industry. So the story is here, a few years back, Nestlé was the first company to come out with a very innovative technology based on material science to develop what was called hollow sugar. So it's a sugar that dissolves faster in the mouth and eventually enhance sweetness perception. And at more or less the same time, companies like Tet & Lye or Dux Matok were also competed with very closely related technologies. So products based on this hollow sugar were launched on the market by Nestlé with lots of publicity, but eventually they failed to make it commercially for various reasons. But the point here that I have is clearly on such an important topic for people, resources and time could have been really saved by joining forces to collaboratively develop more robust technologies and commercial concepts, rather than really competing to be the first to reach the market in an ill-prepared manner, if I can say. But since then, I guess many companies have decided to collaborate much more closely in this field of sugar reduction, and we continue to see new solutions coming on the market out of joint efforts between ingredient suppliers and food manufacturers. And if you have good eyes, you can see some logos that are mentioned here on the slide. So that's a bit of insight on the topic of sugar reduction. Moving to sustainability, and certainly on the line that Alvyn was elaborating before. So sustainability has become really a booming area in the recent years for the food industry. And it has also become an incredible platform for collaborative efforts to develop technologies and innovative concepts driven by consumer demand. I think one of the vibrant examples in this field is certainly the valorization of barley spent grains. So that's a very abundant side stream from the beer industry, which is formed from the production of malt extract. And this side stream has historically been used as feed for animals, although it has an interesting material. It is an interesting material nutritionally. It's rich in proteins and fibers. And we've seen in recent years many microbreweries, consumers at home, and startups are starting to transform this side stream into a food ingredient that can be used in many sorts of snacks, and going from breads to these days to beverages and so on. But more recently, we have also seen large companies having a more keen interest into this side stream. And amongst these large companies, the giant brewer AB InBev has really embarked in many collaboration in this field with universities, with startups, to try to bring to scale and commercial viability the manufacturing of new ingredients based on the barley spent grain. And we see some of them that are now reaching the market, so demonstrating the potential to combine sustainability and better nutrition into a market reality. And really, I think the approach that is followed by AB InBev is quite interesting, quite an interesting example of open innovations. They are really mixing development through internal startups that they are supporting. They are sponsoring external academics, external startups as well, and they are really trying to create an R&D and innovation ecosystem around the side stream, which is obviously a key importance for a brewer of the size of AB InBev. An even more vibrant area for food innovation, I guess some of you are probably familiar, but it's really the plant-based opportunity, which has been exciting everyone these last 2 years, from the small to the big players. And plant-based is definitively one of the key driving force for many innovations, new startups, and a craziness around investment that we see in the food tech world. At least for plant-based since 5 years, if not a bit more. And here, so we speak about plant-based dairy alternatives for drinks or cheese, using all sorts of plant proteins and processing technologies. Some fermentation, for example, being really a core technology in this domain here. With companies like Oatly, Nestle, Miyoko, to cover a range of small, big, hype, or emerging names. And of course, we speak about plant-based meat alternatives, again, valorizing many sources of plant proteins. So of algae, of course, of microproteins. And here we speak of companies such as Beyond Meat, Better Meat, Eat Just, and many others that are very active in this field through the dynamics of innovations and by attracting for some of them really large investments in this field. So you have here just a visual that I took for, it's dated from 2020. So it's a visual of really the exponential growth of investment in the field of food alternative proteins. And some examples here. So companies like Good Meat, so that's the cell-based meat division of Eat Just. Company like that attracting really very large investments, for example. More surprisingly, I would say, recently we've seen a Berlin-based startup, FOMO, that secured about 50 million for lab-grown mozzarella in very, very early phase. But very exciting in a sense. It's also, for me, start to raise a bit questions about how far this investment will go and how reasonable they are. I see some make sense from my perspective. Others, I'm a bit more starting to question a bit this excitement, I must say. Sorry. Yeah, here, as I was saying, the plant-based field is really extremely fertile for collaborative approach. And you have here on the slide some example emphasizing the collaborations between food companies. Or I think I'm mentioning here CheilJedang and Bühler, for example. So a very established ingredient flavor company with food processing, how do you say that? A food processing unit manufacturer, if I can call Bühler like that. We see Pepsi and Beyond Meat entering in collaborations, or Corn and Rocket, for example, developing new products together or creating a pool for more innovative ideas. We also see in the food world since a few years, many corporate accelerators and incubators that are sponsoring or investing in plant-based innovations and opportunities. We see also a lot of non-profit platforms, the Good Food Institute being probably the most famous, really trying to bring innovators together around this topic of alternative protein and meat or dairy alternatives. And all this dense ecosystem eventually is definitively contributing to an extremely fast growth of plant-based offerings, which are eventually meeting consumers' demand for sustainable nutrition. And I just mentioned one of the previous slide, Good Meat. So that's the cell-based meat division of Eat Just, and it's really receiving large investments these days. So that raises a bit of question. So is eventually cell-based meat or cell-based cheese or coffee, or we see more or less anything now? So is cell-based meat the future of food?
Be careful, Florian. I am a cell biologist, so I have maybe a different opinion on this. Right now, we cannot, personally, I cannot hear you nor see your slides. Eric, can you help? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't see I think he got disconnected.
Okay, so I'll text him.
Okay.
Florian.
Hello.
Oh,
Yeah, you're back.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I told you my connection is very poor.
It's okay, Florian. So yeah, I took the advantage to say that I am a cell biologist, and so I'm partly looking at, you were there, right? Cell-based meat.
Yeah.
You try to share, and if not,
yeah. Okay, sorry.
you can just take the mic and eventually.
No, it should be okay. I was going the wrong way to share, so it should be back. Hopefully, it doesn't crash again. Where was I? I was questioning if cell-based meat is the future of food. And really, that's really a domain where we see a lot of investment these days. And some investors, governments in this sense seem to believe in this future. We've seen many startups emerging in the field, large fund raising. I'm mentioning in the center of the slide here, you can see Singapore. And Singapore, in this sense here, is playing really a key role in pioneering this area. Because it's part of the national food agenda of Singapore. It's not a place where you can produce meat, so they are also looking at alternatives to that. And the cell-based meat production would be in a distant future, maybe a solution for Singapore to reach a certain food supply autonomy. So they are really pushing in this field, and they do it by facilitating the regulatory frame for cell-based meat applications. But also they are bringing companies, they are creating facilities for productions or pilot productions of cell-based meat and so on. So they are really playing a very active role in this field. So just a bit of scientific words here. So as I was saying, it's okay. To be clear there, it's definitively a long-term endeavor. We won't see in 5 years mass production of cell-based meat. We can question when we will see it reaching commercial viability. I would bet on a 10 years horizon to be reasonably substantial, but beyond the flurry of investment that we see in this area, I think it's also a particularly exciting field for food innovations, and because it's bringing together a convergence of different disciplines. So I'm putting a few keywords here from cellular biology, tissue engineering, bioprinting, precision fermentations, food biotechnology, flavor science. And as always, right, when you bring disciplines like that together, there are always very nice discussions that happen and very, very nice innovations. At least on the scientific side, we also see very exciting papers, very exciting developments. Let's see how long it takes to translate into really commercial applications, substantial commercial applications, I would say. Yeah, just to conclude there on the question, if cellular-based foods are the future of food. As always, and as it happened many times in the past with exciting food tech innovations, the reality is always that only consumers will decide. And I guess in this field, beyond the technical and operational challenges to bring to commercial life cell-based foods, the main challenge will be really in finding ways to communicate these innovations to the consumer lambda, to my mother and my grandmother in a very simple and attractive way. It's never easy with technology-driven food innovations, and we have seen in many cases in the past exciting innovations transforming into kind of Frankenstein foods because it's difficult to communicate in a smooth and convincing way to consumers. So let's see. You can feel my
feelings on the developments here, but let's see what the future holds for the cell-based foods. It's going to be an exciting and very interesting journey for this domain, I'm sure. So that's pretty much what I had. Don't know if I made it in time, shorter, probably a bit shorter despite...
You're perfectly on time.
Okay, so thanks to my network.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And yeah, you can go to the Q&A session. Yes, it's been great. Thank you very much. You may see that we have lost Alvyn. He just texted me, so maybe he will be able to reconnect. And indeed, yes, I think we can have a discussion. So I do not see any question on Q&A, but do not hesitate. You can also raise your hands, and maybe we can handle you the microphone, or at least read your question. Isabelle can also display them on the screen. Florian, yes, you've been working on a new food alternative for quite a few years already. Have you seen some product coming to a market at a significant level? Can you already give a percentage, of market shares that has been taken by this new food? You have feedback? Numbers?
Yeah, market share still difficult. I think anyway the plant-based alternatives are reaching commercial maturity, so it's really for going from simple to complex, right? And if the cell-based meats or foods that I was mentioning, this one we won't see anything for a long time. The plant-based meat, of course, it's there is a bit more communication than real commercial weight there. For me, what I see, it's really on the drink side. All the dairy alternatives there are starting to be substantial commercially, and they are good products. They are really, I think on the plant-based meat, it's a bit more questionable the way it's approached, right? It's often mimicking the meats for people who are not really wanting meat in the first place. So there's always a bit on the consumer side on how to play with this. On the dairy alternatives, there is much more space there. There are a lot of consumers who don't only want to drink dairy, they want over, and there is a bit more novelty and fun products there. So it's starting to grow. Putting a figure, I don't have that in mind, but I think it starts to be quite substantial. Okay,
great, thank you. So yes, what about taste, right? So I had a question for all three of you. Do you see, Florian and maybe Eric, you also have some examples, the fact that we are using those alternative source of proteins, for instance, which do not have the same taste? Do you see also a growing market for flavor company, right? And are they going to be more and more present? Are we going to eat flavored food? And what's your feedback on that? Because
no, they play a massive role. I mean, if you follow one, for example, that would be the leader in the field, that would be CheilJedang. On the alternative protein, they are really playing a role. They started to engage in this market on the basis of covering the flavor of plant proteins. Now they are even developing their own technologies to develop plant protein-based ingredients. So they are. It's really driving them to increase the scope of their activities. But purely from flavors, there's a lot of unmasking. But not only, I think it started a lot with the intention to replace existing product with alternative ingredients. I think people have been moving there because consumers, they don't expect, if you have a pea protein in a drink, they don't expect it necessarily to taste the same than a dairy drink. And they are taking it more okay, there's new flavor coming. Okay, sometimes it's not very nice, so that's also where flavor enter into place there. But especially flavors and in the beverage sector, it's immense what can be done. So it's really a very good traction for the flavor industry.
Yeah. Eric, do you have a comment on this?
No, I do agree. Since we work with a lot of flavor companies, I do agree that this plant-based or cell-based market could also help them bring better flavor products. Because I know for sure, because I tried plant-based meat before, and it does not quite like the real meat. So I'm pretty sure, that will help.
There is a way to improve that. But of course, I think this is also accompanied by a big trend in this flavor and fragrance industry to move to natural origin, because everybody or nearly everybody knows that most flavor and fragrances, but for perfume, are from chemical origin. And even though those are very powerful molecules in terms of taste, you don't want to add too much chemical compounds in a dish, right? So that's why they're also moving to flavor from natural origin, which will then allow us to keep this natural origin that we expect from food. Do you agree, Florian?
Yeah, it has been also it's a trend that is here since quite some time. Not all markets are the same there, but the move to clean label, to naturality, it has been really a trend for the food industry for years.
So we have a message in the Q&A. So I don't know if Isabelle can display it on the screen. It comes from Sang Son. Yes, there is the question. So I guess again, it is also for you, Florian. Numbers of plant-based meat companies are emerging and presenting different or somewhat similar products. And the other question is, which one will survive?
Yeah, okay, I should be back. I was disconnected for a second. That's a good question. How to differentiate the companies? I would say what differentiates food companies eventually it always comes back to taste. That's the basis, right? So the fight will be for plant-based alternative. It will be like it is for any categories in the food sector. It will be about taste, it will be about nutrition, it will be about added benefit that you would have in certain products, depending on the categories and so on. It will be about cost, it will be about capacity of the companies to reach a large base of consumers, and so on, right? There is a bit in the plant-based alternative because it's linked with sustainability, with corporate responsibilities, and so on. So there is probably a pool of targets that are driven by the purpose of a company. So the image of a company would be important there. But if you balance the image of an emerging startup and the presence of a more established one, I don't know who wins at the end. So I think taste, nutrition, certain benefits of the product, and cost and reach to the market will be key to differentiate these companies.
Yeah, thank you, Florian. So yes, just heard from Alvyn that he has bad connection problems, so he will not be. So my question for both of you actually was, you were mentioning the possibility to bring those new ingredients in for elder people. You were mentioning your mother. So do you think that your mother is ready? When will she be ready to prepare a birthday cake for your kids with Algama food?
I don't think she's I don't think she will be the target consumer there. That's the other thing. You always start a new trend, reach a core target first. And from there, it might become mainstream, and maybe at some point my mother, if she has time, she will be one of the consumer there. But for now, these products, they are really targeting very specific consumers who have either certain values, who have decided that they don't want to have meat or dairy product, or to be a bit more flexitarian. It's not everyone. It's a fraction of the consumer. So it also says a bit on your question on which shares of the market is it taking. So far, limited share because the base of consumer is a bit limited for now. But it's still, although we speak a lot of the trend. We don't see a massive change of food consumption patterns, for example. So it's still relatively limited.